They've declared email bankruptcy.
I'm looking at your inbox account, and that gives me anxiety just looking at it. Hey, it's Brett Chittum here with Business Technicalities, and I'm here with
Jason Slagle.
And we are both from CNWR now, except you're my boss.
It happens. I'm sorry.
No, you've only yelled at me 3 times, so I mean, I feel okay about that. You were just talking about getting to inbox 0.
Yeah.
How many of you guys out there are sick of emails and having emails that are just too many, out of control? Your inbox is getting to a point where it's just overloaded.
Yeah, me for sure. Especially if I go away, I'll get to inbox 0, and then I'll go away to a conference, and then when I come back, I'm back to 1,200 emails.
I mean, how many you get in a week right now?
Last week I got 680. In the last month, I've gotten 3,200.
Oh, that's a lot. I think I'm much lower than that. They haven't all found me at cnwr.com yet, so I think I was only about 400 or something like that.
Yeah, and a lot of yours, I think, are system-generated emails, whereas I've tuned myself out of most of those. Okay. So I get a lot of, I do still get some system-generated emails, but I get a ton of emails that are, in theory, at least partially actionable by me. And that's the problem, is that when I have to go through and determine if they're actionable or not. And it takes a couple hours a week of my time that I wish I didn't have to spend.
So when you think about that and getting that many emails, would you unsubscribe? What do you do?
Yeah, I usually spend about once a month. I'll go through and I'll unsub from anything that I don't find interesting, right? And I'm pretty liberal with that. Emails don't work on me like that, right? It's unlikely that I'm going to look at your drip email or whatever for your product and suddenly decide that I need it, right? So I stay subbed to newsletter type stuff from products that we use, just so I can try to stay up to date on it. But I just got back from ChannelCon, and I did let a couple of vendors scan me. Only a very couple of them promised not to email me. One, I'm looking at an email right now that definitely fibbed to me, because I'm definitely seeing an email from a vendor that promised they wouldn't email me. So, I tell them when they scan me, I'm like, hey, you can scan me. It's the first email I get from you, I just get unsub.
Let's face it, though, the vendors are there to get emails and to be able to drip campaign you like we do with companies as well.
I get it. We try not to be gross about it, but yeah. And then, what really irks me is, I'm going to pick on T-Mobile for a couple minutes. I use T-Mobile personally. I was a Sprint customer since 1997. Was just about ready to leave Sprint because of poor service when it came through that T-Mobile was buying them. So I'm like, I'll stick it out. T-Mobile bought them. Service got really good. Mm-hmm. It was better for a long time. And then after they retired the old Sprint network in May, service is just absolute trash now. My wife doesn't have service in her office anymore. I've got very poor service all over because I think they retired some of the lower frequency bands. And it's the higher frequency bands just don't penetrate buildings. Correct. So you end up with really poor service. And their answer is, well, we'll send you a microcell. That's not going to work at my wife's office. If she had Wi-Fi or some way to connect the microcell, she wouldn't need it. So it's very unhappy with them right now. And now they're trying to sell me on business plans. And I was pretty curt to the guy. I replied to the email, and I'm like, why do I want to hear from you? Because, it doesn't even work in this area. And he just doesn't ever respond, and now I'm getting more drip emails from him. So it's if you're going to send me emails and I respond to them, usually that pops me out of the sequence or out of the workflow if you're using HubSpot, and puts me in a sequence or puts me in some sort of way where I stop receiving the nurturing emails, because now I've acted on them, but clearly they haven't set it up right.
They don't have the right system, most likely. You're using SaneBox?
Yeah, I'll get to that in a second. One of the big things I do is these days, so we're Office 365. I don't use Outlook on my computer at all. I'm 100% Outlook web app.
So am I. I totally do that. It makes perfect sense to do that.
It works fine. Mm-hmm. It's a great experience, and it has this one killer feature that the Thick app doesn't have. Although I hear the Thick app now might just be like an Electron app. It might just be wrapped OWA, but it has this sweep button up here, and when I press it, I just showed Brett here. So I had an email from a vendor, and I pressed sweep, and now all of the emails from that vendor are just gone. So it makes it relatively quick to go through. I'll unsub, and then after I unsub, I'll sweep, and then all the emails from them are gone. I make pretty liberal use of that to deal with. Like, I don't need any of these emails from this person, so boop, they're all gone all at once.
That totally makes sense. I've been. You don't have time. I mean, you've been swamped. I mean, this with the merger and everything, you've had a lot on your plate, so your emails are just coming in. You're not able to get to them. I'm able to get to a lot of them and just delete them out. I haven't unsubbed from some of them though, because there's a few that I do read through newslettery type stuff, but I need to use that sweep button probably for some, because it does get. We're in this meeting. How many emails are we going to get while we're doing this?
I mean, I just swept emails from like a telco vendor we use, and like 30 emails just disappeared out of my mailbox.
Are done.
Yeah, and I do read those emails when I have time, but I just don't have time right now. I'm gonna have to hire an admin just to manage my emails.
It's time for you to get an admin.
Yeah. So back to SaneBox. So I use something called SaneBox, which is apparently it's sanebox.com, I believe. Maybe we can get it linked in the show notes. It does some management of my inbox, and so basically it has a couple of features that are nice. It takes emails that appear to be newsletters and moves them to their own folder automatically, without me having to set up rules, and then it moves email that it deems I probably don't need to deal with now to a box called later.
Really?
And so it does a pretty good job of that. And the nice thing about that is if they're in that box, I feel like there's less time required for me to look at them. I'm a lot more liberal with just like glancing and deleting the emails that land in there. And then it also has things like it's got a folder called I have 1 week, 3 days, and next day or tomorrow. And I can drag emails to that folder. It will reply to the client or whoever sent it saying, hey, I'm really busy. I'll get back to you in 3 days. I promise. Then in 3 days, it just pops it back in my inbox.
Really?
Right. So it lets me basically snooze emails for a couple of days while notifying the person on the other end that I'm doing it. I actually got that from, it was either Nigel Moore or Richard Tubb. It was one of the two. But I believe both of those guys at this point, I know Nigel for sure, and I believe Richard, they've declared email bankruptcy.
I declare bankruptcy.
Basically, they have an autoresponder on their email saying, hey, I don't read email. Like, I may respond to this, but you just may never hear from me.
Yep. That at some point you have to do that with what they're doing. And I'm looking at your inbox account, and that gives me anxiety just looking at that. Yeah,
3225. It's a few. Wow. It's because I was out of town a couple weeks ago, and I was at ChannelCon, and then last week I'm spent all week catching up from being at ChannelCon, and I haven't, normally what'll happen is I'll sit down on a Sunday afternoon and go through email and just spend 4 hours on a Sunday going through it, which sucks because I'd rather be doing anything else on Sunday than go through email.
Right. It'd be interesting to find out what other people do and leave in comments what you're doing for inbox overload. It seems to be used to be, direct mail, right? And stuff in your actual physical mailbox. Now it seems like,
I'll take that. I mean, there's some over there. I start away.
Yeah. But it's a little bit more intrusive because a lot of people email is free to send, right? It costs nothing for these companies to send these emails, and they're just blasting people. And what's the fix on that, Jason?
Yeah, I mean, and I've had a couple spicy takes on LinkedIn, right? I had one where I was blasted in Zomentum recently for bombing the entire list from ChannelCon. And the reason I do that, I don't do it to be a jerk. I do it because it consumes a non-zero amount of my time. And time is the one resource I can't get more of. Right. So I get it. I get you would need to show ROI at these conferences, but man, you do that by treading on my most precious resource.
Time. Yeah. I wish we had 28 hours in a day, but it just doesn't happen.
I would fill 28 and then 132 is the problem.
You need more RAM in your time, man.
Yeah.
So when you think about, the inbox aspects and the anxiety you get, or I get, I sit there and look because on the sales side, for me, I almost think every email I'm getting is a potential sale. So I have to, you know, some you can tell it's, you know, from vendors and things, but there are some that I get that are, they look like it could be a potential client.
Yeah.
I start reading through it and they're saying, hey, you know, we spoke this, and then all of a sudden there's a sales pitch.
Yeah.
And it becomes a point of, you don't want to even look at it anymore.
Yeah. Out of curiosity, do you use rules?
I do not yet. I've not set up rules. I didn't when we were at the LTS. I set up rules. I have not set my rules.
Do you
up here
like
yet.
to put things into folders?
Yeah.
Yeah. Folders are where emails go to die. So, I mean, other than my Sane News and Sane Later folder, like everything goes in an inbox for me unless I don't need it. If I definitively don't need it, then
you kill it.
I've got this GitHub one there where these emails come in, right? But a lot of those, I just unsub them, right? Because that's the big thing to me is that is it actionable by me?
Right.
If I'm putting it to a folder, then it's clearly not actionable by me. And I'm like, oh, I'll just read that folder later. No, I'm not. I'm not going to read that folder later.
Right.
I'm never going to read that folder. I might as well just delete it. Right. So I do my best to try to just get rid of those emails that are not actionable by me. Yeah. It's like, I want every email I receive to need something from me. I need it to need action from me.
Correct. Well, I noticed with the web Outlook, the one thing that bothers me about it, I love everything else about it, is when I click on an email and then let's say I'm on it and I say, oh, this is one that just needs to go into a folder and I move it, it doesn't show as red. Unless I click off of it.
There's a setting I think you can do. Yeah, I think there's a setting you can
have
do
to
for
teach
that.
me that because I want that setting on. But it's for anybody out there that's trying to run a business or do a sales job or do any type of work, the inbox overload is a real thing.
Yep.
and for each and every one of us that try to handle this, we're all going to do it differently. I know Jason's got the same box, and that's actually kind of a cool thing. Never thought of that. But I'm not getting as many as you yet. But when you I think it's like, how do you eat an elephant? It's one bite at a time. It's one email at a time. I believe if you don't want an email, unsubscribe.
Yep.
Automatically just start unsubscribing. And that's something I'll do on a weekend is I'll go through emails and just start unsubscribing. I don't know though. Does that really work?
It does. And then you take the nuclear option. If I unsub and then somehow I end up back up on your list, I'm emailing the abuse contact to your CRM unless I've done a definitive action to get back on it. Attending a conference isn't a definitive action.
It's not. I
don't let anybody scam me. At most shows, I'm very, very particular about people who scam me. I'm very particular now about attending third-party events like the MSP Initiative events that share their list with the entire group, right? Like I just plain won't attend because the 2 hours of fun isn't worth the 27 hours I spend later getting off all the lists signed up on. It's just not worth it, right? It's so I, for the most part, know if you're emailing me after a show, you've gotten my email illicitly somehow.
Right. And that's not right. And
I also want to attend shows that I know share lists.
Oh, really? Yeah. We should do a show on that. We should talk about the shows that show lists. So
what we should do is we should find, maybe we could turn this into a little mini panel. It'd be fun. We could get like somebody from Huntress, who I think is very conservative about who they tend to email, and then maybe try to get George on.
Okay.
That'd be fun for somebody that's very liberal with their emailing practices, or the other guy that might be good to email. I'm trying to remember his augment.io or augment.ai, whatever it is, that guy that stepped in it and after MSP GeekCon, it might be worth trying to get one of those guys on to cover the other side of it, right? Like I get it.
From them.
Yeah.
I think they're using name at CNWR. I think is what they're doing. It'd be interesting to have them all on together and have them just fight against each other, what they do and what they don't.
Yeah, we could do a discussion that's civil. I'm capable of moderating a civil discussion, regardless of what people may think.
I just remembered one of my first interactions with you was the whole aspect of that one vendor that cornered me, got me in an appointment.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to name names or anything.
I will. It's Threat Locker.
And how you just, I was I was horrified and impressed all at the same time.
Yeah, I went and told ThreatLocker he wasn't going to take a demo.
Yeah, and then I would say it was bad. It was bad because you know they've you've come after them, they've come after you. It's a great thing, and that's why you don't spam email people. Darn it! I had a boss one time that he, while training me, had his screen up and he clicked the select all on his email and just hit delete, and he looked at me at that moment and said, "Don't you ever do that."
Yeah,
and I just imagined. We shouldn't have to do that, right?
Yeah.
We should. I just wish that, you know, if I said send me an email, yeah, send me an email. We do that when we send out emails. We don't send out an email unless somebody specifically said we could.
Yeah, and I mean, at some point we'll probably do more nurturing than we do now, but I don't want to. I'll attempt to make most of the nurturing emails contain value, right? It's like education or something like that, right? Like, and I would say 90% of the emails I receive from vendors, there is no
value.
There is no value in them if I'm not already a customer. Some of them have value once I am a customer, but a lot of them, and I don't want to name names here, a lot of them don't, right? Like, so I think maybe it's moving that way a little more, but yeah, if you can't show any value in the email that you send me and it's literally just a sales pitch, right? Then I don't need it, right? Like I don't need it, because email it's a thing where all of the cost is borne by the recipient. And I mean, I understand that, you know, you pay HubSpot for your marketing contacts and somebody needs to draft up the email and needs to send it. But we're talking about 1,000 to 1 or more cost on the recipient than the sender.
Right.
Which is why I actually don't mind cold calling as much, because it's a 1-to-1 cost. Right. Because for every minute you spend with me, you also are investing a minute. Right. So we're equally incentivized to not waste each other's time. And I'm very transparent with cold callers, like, hey man, this just isn't going to work, and I don't feel like we should waste each of our time, so like it's probably best if you don't call me anymore. And you know what, they like that. They like pushing to the definitive end of that. But email, it's a many to one ratio of receiver time versus sender time.
It's just not a good one. I sit there and think to myself that if you send me an email that's going to tell me something, that's going to tell me something about an interest I have, I might read that. But if you're going to say, hey, buy my product or this or that, or I want to collaborate with you, that's just going to go to the trash. You know, I'm going to say my book title name that I've been writing for a few years now. I just never get the time to finish it. Stop selling, become an educator of your product. And that's copyrighted in the National Library of whatever. But if you educate people on things, I like you with newsletters, you're sending drip campaign newsletters, right? And we're not right now, but we're going to be more so.
Sorry, I'm just too focused on whether or not National Library of whatever.com is available.
No, I can't remember the National Library of Congress where you have to copyright things. I actually have a full certificate of that copyrighted. I got a few more years before that goes out of copyright. But anyways, educating people is the best way to get interest. Even if you're telling them about something that is not even a part of your product. What are you doing in the community? What are some of the community events that you've been a part of? And I want to know that.
And educate me on the product I bought, not the product you want me to buy.
Oh, there we go. There we go.
I think Lifecycle Insights was really good about that. And I think that SkillPad has kept it, but there's definitely more ads at the end of those emails than there used to be, but every one of them does at least contain nuggets, right? I think John Strand, I'm going to call him out at Anti-Siphon. His are good, right? It's like, hey, here's a class that can be free for you. Like, you can click it, you can pay what you want, right? Like, I don't mind getting those emails. They're short, they're sweet. They're to the point. Most of them don't contain any media at all. They're all text, which is amazing.
I don't mind all text emails. Media scares me. So okay. All right. I think we've hit this one in the
horse is dead. We killed it.
Beating
it. Okay.
Don't spam us. No. Don't give us inbox overload or email overload, whatever you want to call it. Don't do it.
Okay. Cool.
We're done.
That's it. We did it. Have a good week.
Have a good week.
Awesome. See you later.
Bye-bye.